Hi guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. I'm only going to be here for just a little bit. Um, just for, I don't know, just dropping in just for a second here. I was just making a point that I came in earlier. I did a Black Spring, I did an actual stream earlier, like this morning. And I don't know, it's just, I guess, we're still playing the game or whatnot, and that's fine. But I just did a little note earlier this morning on what I thought of as a bit of that we have to be careful with language and what we see and what we hear, because I was making the point that we can be manipulated through the vessels of um through vessels of when somebody says that they're even in this memorial session. um I noticed that there were some things there that really reminded me of the inaugural of Trump's inauguration. And it's just, to me, I don't even, I mean, I mentioned something about a metaphor this morning, but I'm not even sure if we can stop there. Um, because I find that a lot of times they will the left, I mean not the left, but the right, if you want to call it, um, they will speak in the literal, but then they will also speak, but they will cadence. And I think I've probably said this before, but they will cadence in a metaphor. I think I used an example. So you have to be careful when we're talking about, the being, being persecuted or crucified, and just so close, unless it within before you can finish the phrase, it's so close. It's almost like idolize. It's almost like idolatry, or, I just don't like things getting so close to, okay, whether you're a follower of Christ or not, not for 1 second. If you say this man, you guys have to go back and watch it for yourselves. But it's like, she kind of, to me, it was the juxtaposition of saying that this man, or her, was she was reflecting on her husband's, the late Charlie Kirk, memory, and she's reflecting and saying, oh, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I get it, thematically. I thought that the message was about, I get um thematically what the intent was, but I think we went somewhere else. I think it ended up going somewhere else, or it could not be. It was so close to, you know, scripture that, okay, are you talking about the late Mr. Kirk, or are we really putting him, that close to Christ? I mean, because your statement is barely concluded. Your statement, you started out talking about him, but you cadenced with something scriptural. And because I just think, and to me, the similar thing happened during the inauguration, in which, oh, they would say something like Trump was, during the inauguration, oh, he was born for such a time as this, and we should be thankful to Mary and, his and his father for, you know for, this miracle. And it's so close to, it's so close to me that it's almost like it's just not, it's not right. It's just, it gets to be more emotional. We're I know I talk about motives, and I talk about themes, and I talk about motives, I talk about themes and things for effect, but I don't believe that this type of, dare I say, even if I can even call it this type of language injected into these types of speeches, I think it's more deceptive than anything. I think it's used to influence, and it's used to um, make people feel that they're closer to Christ, because of, out of this tragedy is born something that's likened somebody that's likened to Christ, or, it's just, I said this during one of TDOA's during his stream earlier, that like, what are we dealing with? Miracles and signs of wonder amongst, these events, these rituals, these, get large groups of people look together, and, well, they go, and then their message goes across the airwaves. And then you have, let's see, what am I doing here? Okay. Their message gets across the airwave, and then what are you dealing with at that point? So I'm just saying, I'm saying, I'm not telling anybody what to believe. I'm not asking you to believe me, but I'm just saying that we still have to, use some level of discernment, even in whether it's a tragic situation or whatever you believe. You still have to, because to me, a lot of things surrounding this reminds me of it just seems like the narrative goes in a similar direction. The effects, they're using the same effects, the same tactics. And I noticed I didn't get very much traction on this particular stream when I talked about this morning, because in language, you can have idioms, you can have hyperbole, you can have a hyperbole sprinkled with an idiom, but you just, the way people cadence, and the way that in this day, time, and hour, the way this is being used, to me, that's where you have to caution yourself. You can't allow, use wisdom, or if you don't have it, you have to make, you got to use whatever your source is to get there. But I just think this is kind of, it's kind of dangerous to do this. But then another point about that whole memorial was the fact that I think Trump himself was saying that we needed to bring back religion. And like, I'm not here to confess or profess my religion or what I believe in, but I'm telling you that he's saying that religion needs to be brought back. I'm paraphrasing, go watch it for yourself. And then also you had Tucker Carlson coming on saying that something big was coming. So I don't know. This makes me think of more of a prophecy. This makes me think of, the one world religion, or, are we going to be, is everyone going to be forced to eventually, is there going to be a line drawn in the sand and say, okay, you have to do this way, or else, are we going to surrender, or is it going to be done through this economy? Or are they going to keep creating laws behind, are they going to keep creating laws, and eventually we're all going to end up surrendering, beyond belief. So I just want to come in just for a second. It's been a it's been a long day, and honestly, I wasn't going to come in, but I just thought maybe I would just for a second. But I just think it's a dangerous thing, and we all need to make sure that we are not subscribing to signs of wonder and miracles, even at the time of tragedy. We still need to, you need to use your discernment, or ask for it, or look for it elsewhere, because I think we're living in a time of deception. And I think that religion is going to be used to, I think it's gonna, to me, that's why I'm talking about the conservative types and the different ilks, because to a certain extent, I'm beginning to think that some people haven't really learned anything at all. They haven't learned anything from the left-right paradigm. They haven't learned anything from 2019. They haven't. And it just seems like they're kind of getting it, they're getting deeper and deeper, but they don't realize it. They don't realize that they're getting deeper and deeper into an illusion. That's why it's kind of like what I'm on about here. But yeah, so I just wanted to come in and say that, because I even gave you guys one. It's kind of an Irish proverb, if you will. It's kind of and I always say this: language matters, and it does. it does matter. So let's see. Say for instance, it's the proverb that I gave. Okay, so the proverb that I gave that I mentioned earlier in the stream was that there are good ships and there are wood ships and the ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships, and may they always be. Okay, so here this is considered an Irish proverb, even a toast. You know, I've actually toasted to this before, but at the same time, um, you basically have your you get a little bit of a literal. Okay, you get the literal, and then before you know it, you know it's kind of like the most cherished of all. Uh, you go from a concrete ship to a to an abstract ship, and that's their way of making it. They brought you back into a brought the ship back, uh you know, with another abstract, and that's friendship. But to me it's a metaphor. It uses metaphors and it compares different kinds of relationships. But to me, what they were doing was not even that clear. It was that what they were using wasn't even that clear. Okay, I'm just saying it wasn't, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it was, because you know I see it brought people to their feet. It brought people. It had the kind of effect that they wanted it to have. Um, but you still have to know, you still have to keep the truth at the forefront. You still have to not be led by, you know, you still have to, don't get lost in the, dare I say, I don't want to say get lost in the sauce because that's probably not, that's probably not, that's probably not appropriate. But yeah, so I'm just saying, I brought that up earlier, and it didn't get very many views, but you know, this is a game out here. And hi, Derek C. Williams. How are you? Everyone, Derek C. Williams is here. Derek C. Williams, I'm on here. I'm doing some, you know, less bells and whistles here. Simone Watchman's here. Hey, I looked out. I looked out this evening at 6:35. But I was just saying, I was just here to make my point about these types of memorials, the invocation that I see. I don't know. We just live in a deceptive time, and it's better if we all just kind of, you know, just kind of keep our discernments, you know, tuned up high. Aloha, Simone Watchman. Thank you so much for coming in. So I'm not sore about not getting very many views on that, but at the same time, you know, I get it. It's a sensitive issue, I guess, for some, but for me, I just want to point out, um, you know, beware of the signs, the miracles and wonders, because this one's starting to look like a lot like Butler, Pennsylvania to me. And before it's over, what else are we going to be? What else are we going to be left with? We'll be stuck with some more laws. And who's going to be the biggest loser? I don't think I need to, you know, I don't think I need to say, you know, who's going to be the biggest loser. I think you guys already know that. But yeah, I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. So I've already burned a whopping 13 minutes and 57 seconds. But I just could not let, I just had to go back and watch. Just look at the stats. I'm like, okay, well, you know, maybe the theme didn't need any explanation, but it's just the effect. The effect may be greater. The effect might be the greater objective, you know. The impact of the effect might have had the biggest impact, more so than the theme. I think it got the impact that they wanted. I don't know. I don't know. I personally, you know, ceremonies and memorials and, you know, that kind of a thing, to me it looks more like idolatry to me than, you know, it doesn't really, I've heard some other theories about, certain things as we're kind of getting ushered into a new world of digital whatever. And so there's obsolescence that's coming for many things of, dare I call it, the old world. Dare I call it the old world. A lot of that is kind of going away. So, and I said this before too, that many cases people are, if you're a martyr or whatever, you're going to be more popular posthumous than you are alive. And we I think we all can we can see that in many regards, not just in the political realm or whatever you want to call it. So, all right, guys, let's see. Derek C. Williams is here. I'm not in here with any bells and whistles right now. I'm trying to figure out, where in the world, sometimes I need to go back to the start of things to see, to figure out where I want to go next. So, but yeah, I will get off of here and let you guys get back with your Monday evening, because it's been a long day. It's been a long day. And yeah, but we'll see. It's always interesting to see what comes out. Um, oh, thanks. I've got this light on because I'm still playing around with. I'm still playing around with elements right now, but I don't really want to do the whole green screen thing. I don't want to do that. Worst case, I would do it, but I like the space that I'm in, and I like that it has just kind of a, it's kind of a kickback kind of a space. So I appreciate it, Samoan. Thank you so much for coming in. But yeah, it is Monday, and I'm not going to. I know, I'm sure there were all kinds, but then the media just hypes everything up. It doesn't really matter. The media hypes things up, and we'll see what else comes out. Like I said, to me, you can tell a lot from the types of people that show up to these things, their reactions, and maybe even you might even see more of what their roles are. Yeah, because of course the media has their own role in these situations. So we'll see what else is going to come out of it. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to watch, and that's why it was important for me to just pay attention just from the clips that I saw. I really didn't need to see anything else. Let's see. Is it for those? See, Derek, I'm trying to. Oh boy, I'm trying, like, being on this end. Let's see. I don't know if I can pin your message. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, here we go. Some bozo's calling me from this time of day. I'm not taking any calls from, Chula Vista. I'm not. I'm not taking calls from Chula Vista. So yes, do you see what I mean? Derek C. Williams, Lord, yeah. And to me, I knew. I said, okay, now you got your martyr. Now what? Now you got your martyr. Now what? Now what comes out of the martyr? Every time there's a martyr, there's something. There's something. You got to get something else with it. Derek C. Williams says, what I don't get is how folks who didn't listen to or even heard of him are so. See, that's the whole. I had to go there. I had to go there with somebody from my own family is what I had to do. I had to say, okay, wait a minute. Before a minute ago, this guy would have been a nerd and nobody ever heard of, but all of a sudden, you even got teenagers. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to, I'm telling you, you'd be amazed at what the media, the power that they have, the influence that they have over, I'm not even sure if it's probably too much light reflecting here right now. I can put it in one place, but yeah, you'd probably be surprised at the amount of stuff that came up that came from him from people that don't even watch the news, or they don't, you know, whether people liked him or not. I just don't see that's the only way they can draw people in. You know, they've got to draw it in. When they run out of materials, they go back to certain elements. And Derek C. Lewis says, I heard of him and listened to him for at least the last 3 years or so, nowhere on the planet. Well, you know, you know, they've got a lot. There's a lot of clips floating around out there, and you know, we'll see. It's going to keep going on. I'm afraid that it's going to keep going on. It is going to continue. And that's what they have. That's one thing that's one uniting piece. You know, either certain factions of the country or certain groups of people come together on that, the issue of race, or some of them they don't. They know how to bring people together, and they know how to divide them. They know how to do that. So, you know, we'll see. Somebody told me of some things that I'd never heard of, but I just don't, you know, I never did attend anything at Turning Point USA. I never did. Okay. When they came to Los Angeles, I think Candace was the featured person back about 5 years ago. Let's see, what year are we in? More than that ago, about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I think, it's like, to me, like I refer to you guys on the YouTube streets as the CV class of 19. I also refer to, there was Candace, there was Tatum, there was his wife. There were so many people that kind of popped out around that particular time. A lot. And some of those people have fizzled, or either they're getting, you know, it just goes on. It's not, there's no real end to it, is what, you know, that's kind of what I'm on about right now. And it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. But we'll see. We'll see. So I just think that there are no coincidences, is what I'm pretty sure about. There's no coincidence. It's timing makes a huge difference. Timing does. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. God, Samoan. Yikes. You might need to send me an email with some of this. Send it to me. All right, guys. Well, I gotta get out of here because I gotta try to decompress. But I just wanted to drop in and just wanted to drop in and let you guys know, like, listen, you know, think for yourselves, and you know, don't let your heart, you know, don't get in, don't get sucked into anything. Yeah, no matter what in the name of anything. Okay, just, you know, think for yourself and try to stay objective. So that's pretty much what I'm on about. But yeah, I don't like the tones of these things, because I don't trust people with certain things, and this would be one of them. Okay, you know what, Derek, I'm I had to do some extra training even when I got home, so I'm already, it's like, can I please just so no. This is my quick note is strictly based on me talking about, you know, the ritual / ceremonial tones and themes and motifs of these situations. But let me look it up. Let me look it up for sure. All right. So I appreciate you so much, Samoan Watchman, Derek C. Williams. I appreciate you guys for coming in at the last 11th hour here. But yeah, you know, I just had to do it. I mean, it's a short stream. It pretty much got, you know, very little traction. So that's kind of what I came in here. But I will check out those situations. Really, really, that's a heavy one for this hour. So I'll look into it for sure. And then it looks like you have some links here. Let me click on those before I get out of here. Okay, so I've got something. Oh wow, wow, oof, oof. No. Okay, I got you. I got your first one here. Well, let me look it up, and I'm sure I'll come back at some point, but maybe not. Probably not tonight. I also have a tendency to, you know, if I have something on my mind, I'll sneak it in the mornings. But I will talk to you guys later. You guys have a great rest of your Monday, and yeah, stay encouraged. Simone Watchman, thank you so much. Derek C. Williams, and any of the voyeurs in the background. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.